Hi, my name is Carolyn Anderson, and I am the coordinator of MicroOperas this year, and I am directing Stephen Deeter's Beethoven's Razor, and I have the composer here with me today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Stephen Deeter. I am a second-year master's student at BGSU in the composition program, and I composed Beethoven's Razor. So I am primarily a vocalist. I've been singing since high school, and I took voice lessons in my undergrad, and I am not currently taking voice lessons, but I am singing with the collegiate chorale. So I started composing in high school, and I really enjoyed the compositional process and seeing my compositions take shape and be realized. I did my undergrad at Lawrence University in Wisconsin, and then came here. Here I study with Christopher Dietz as my main teacher.
And how did he help you with writing this micro-opera?
He was a huge help. Dr. Dietz is great with a lot of big picture ideas when it comes to writing, especially a longer work, which I am not accustomed to writing longer works. So he was a really big help in making sure the story was cohesive, making sure the music made sense from beginning to end, and then as well just fine-tuning all of the little details. Beethoven's Razor is a story about a modern-day composer named Peter, and he's on this kind of seemingly impossible quest to recompose Beethoven's Ninth Symphony note for note without ever having listened to it before. So we start with Peter and his partner Freddie moving into their new apartment in Baden, Austria, and Peter is essentially going to more and more drastic measures to try and embody Beethoven and absorb his life and his music prior to writing the Ninth, so that he can achieve this insane goal of writing the Ninth Symphony note for note.
So what inspired you to compose this work?
Yeah, so literally speaking, this micro-opera is inspired by a short story by the Argentinian author Jorge Luis Borges. The story is called Pierre Menard, author of the Quixote, and it follows this author who is trying to rewrite Don Quixote word for word without ever having read it before. And so the story follows this character trying to relive the life of Cervantes to somehow uncover the secret to writing this story. So I read that in undergrad, and I really loved the kind of surreal nature of the story, and I thought it would be perfect for an opera. So I translated that to sort of the musical world by picking a work that I thought was so big and enormous and important and seminal, the Beethoven's Ninth. But more abstractly, the story that I ended up writing with Beethoven's Razor is inspired largely on my own experiences and observations as a composer, and especially as a composer in an academic setting. The original story by Borges is really short and simple. It has these themes of authorship and creativity that I definitely adapted into my micro-opera, but I have expanded it into more of a story about the people involved, and I wanted to really look at what this kind of process would do to someone and use that as an allegory for creating art as a whole. And I also added this secondary character, Freddie, who I think is really important to understanding what Peter is doing to both himself and to other people, and kind of offering a second outside look at this character. So I think the characterization in this micro-opera is really the important part.
What are some of the sounds and colors that we are going to hear?
So definitely look out for the Beethoven references. I did a lot of research and a lot of listening in preparing this micro-opera, and so the score and the libretto are all infused with Beethoven references, small and large. So if you are just a sort of beginner to Beethoven's music and you only know the Ode to Joy, you'll get something out of it. But if you are a Beethoven scholar and you know a ton about Beethoven, then you'll get a lot out of it too. So there's little Easter eggs and there's big references, and they're all over the place.
Is this micro-opera something that you typically write?
Yeah, so I would say that this composition is pretty representative of my typical style. I write a lot of vocal music, and I have written a lot of vocal music recently. And in terms of the style itself, I think the biggest thing I think about when writing music is the harmony. And I think this opera represents a lot of the harmonic language that I usually use. Specifically, I try and set up sort of twists on traditional harmonic ideas. I use basic ideas from tonal harmony or form and structure and try and transform them into something that's my own. So an example of this that you might hear is in Peter's aria in the first half. The aria itself uses a pretty simple structure in terms of the harmony that is used, because it has a tonic chord that works like a tonic. It's a home chord that it begins on and it goes away from and eventually returns to. But the chord itself is kind of twisted. It's not just a simple major or minor chord. And the harmonies that I use around it are also non-diatonic. But what I try and do is set up a referential set of harmonies so that even if the harmonies themselves are unfamiliar, it's not just 1 4 5 1, you can still understand the way I'm using them because of the way that they repeat and come back and reference each other.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your MicroOpera or about yourself?
I think the main thing I want to share is that this piece would be absolutely nothing if it weren't for the cast and crew that I have on it. The cast is fantastic. Jonathan as Peter, Cassie as Freddie, and Carrie Lee as Carl. They've been doing just a wonderful job in making this piece their own and really getting into their characters. My director, Carolyn, amazing. The conductor, Eden, is doing an amazing job. And then my two instrumentalists, the pianist, Apostolos, and the percussionist, Jacob. All of these people are just, they've taken this piece and making it really something really special and done more with it than I could have ever imagined. Like, this piece wouldn't be here if not for them, so I'm really thankful for them.
Thank you, Stephen. And where can we learn more about you? Do you have a YouTube channel, an Instagram, or a SoundCloud?
Yeah, so if you want more of my music, you can go to my website, stephendeeter.com. You can also check me out on Facebook, Stephen Deeter Music, and YouTube is just Stephen Deeter. If you want more of my general life and the non-musical things I do, like gardening and winemaking and furniture making and all that fun stuff, you can check out my Instagram at 110% Deet.
Stephen also made most of the props for the show. It's truly amazing. I was blown away by all the things that Stephen handmade for the show. So please come and see Stephen's opera on February 9th at 8 p.m. in Bryan Recital Hall. And thank you so much for watching.